So I want to take this opportunity to look at another way of using conditionals, and this time I want to use or incorporate the ability to ask questions from the user, to get some input from the user. So what I want to do, I want to ask the user for, let's say, a numerical grade, okay, between 0 and 100, and I want to tell the user what letter grade that is equivalent to. So for example, if the user enters 100, then we will say that that is an A. Okay, so again, we're going to follow the algorithm whereby to get input from the user, we'll simply create a prompt and then store that value. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the user to enter a score. So enter score, okay, colon to space. And then of course I will need to create a variable to hold that score. So let's assume that we're using a double, and let's say just call it score. Okay, and so of course we're going to store that inside score. Okay, so again, I'm just following the algorithm that we have been shown previously. So once I have the score, I need to now determine what is the letter equivalent. So determine the letter grade. So how am I going to do that? Well, it could be an A, it could be a B, it could be a C, it could be a D, it could be an F. So because I have so many different options, then this is where we would use a conditional, because I need to check the grade, the score, to see where it should be classed. And so I'm going to simply say if, and again, the score, okay, is, let's say, for example, greater than or equals to, let's say, 90, then I'm going to say that it's an A. Okay. Okay. Now, there are multiple possibilities. So as you know, if I have multiple possibilities, I will simply continue using else if. Okay. And so in this case here, I'm going to check to see if the score, notice I have to check score again. This time I'm going to check to see if it's greater than or equal to 80. Okay. And again, if that's the case, then I will say something like B. Okay. Now, I need to check for C. So again, excuse me, I will say else if, and I'll follow the same pattern. If score, notice I always have to keep writing the word score. If score is greater than or equals to 70, then I want to make that a C. Okay, and then of course I want to check for a D. So again, I'm going to say else if, okay, score, okay, is greater than or equals to 60, then I know the person has gotten a D. Okay. All right. Otherwise, I'm going to say else. All right. The person has gotten a failing grade. So I'm not going to check specifically the score. I'm just going to say that they are given an F. Okay. Now, notice the way how grades work. Okay. If I enter a grade, a score, let's say of 95, then this first condition will be met. True. 95 is greater than or equals to 90. Right? Now, let's say I enter 65. Okay? Well, is 65 greater than 90? No. I'll come down here. Is 65 greater than? No. Is 65 greater than or equal to 70? No. Here. Is 65 greater than or equals to 60? Yes. Okay? Which means the person will get a D. And likewise, if I enter maybe 0, right? So all of these will fail. And so I will end up having to give an F. Okay, let's give this a try. Again, we only know if something works when we try it out. And it's quite normal for programs to not work on the first try. 0. Oh, an F. Let's try again. 100. An A. Let's try again. 85. A B. Okay, so it seems that our program is running. Now, again, I just want to reiterate the fact that whenever you have conditionals, okay, a conditional block, only one of the actions inside the curly braces will be executed for every iteration, for every time you run the program. Okay, now this does not mean that you cannot have other conditionals. So if I wanted, I could keep writing some more code. Let's check if the person is over 18. Okay, so it's quite okay for you to write programs where you have multiple conditions. So for example, I could check to see the person's age. Again, I follow the same pattern. Cout, enter, age. Okay, so pattern, prompt, variable, store variable. Use that variable. If age is greater than or equal to 18, then let's just say cout adult. Okay, and then let's maybe add 1 to age. Okay, we can do anything we want. In this case, I'm going to add 1 to age. Otherwise, we're going to say cout child, and we're going to maybe subtract 1 from age. Okay, and then at the end of it we will print out age. So cout age. Notice I'm using E and DL this time. Okay, so I have one conditional block here that checks for one thing, grade, and then I have another conditional block here which checks for age. So I'm trying to get across to you that in a typical program you can have as many conditionals as needed. It all depends on the problem that you are trying to solve. Okay, again, I had a mistake. I forgot my semicolon. Okay, and that also reminds me I need to put a new line. Okay, so it's quite normal for a program not to work at the first time. Okay, so get in the habit of being comfortable with your program not working at the beginning. Anyway, let's check this one first. Okay, good. Enter age, let's say 12, child. Okay, let's try again. Let's enter 88, I expect a B. Let's enter 21. I expect adult. Great, so my program works. Again, in a typical program, you can have multiple conditionals. You can have multiple inputs. You could have multiple outputs. That is quite normal. All right, so I'll leave this here and I'll see you in the next lesson where we will continue looking at conditionals and the different uses of conditionals. I'll see you then.